Buongiorno from our home in Sicily. I'm Esther.
Alfred here.
We're going to talk about some etiquette, some do's and don'ts, and as always, who knows what else. But let's say we start with greetings. So you're here in Italy, you're here in Sicily, and you see someone that you've never met before. What do you say to them? Hi, how are you? No. What do you say, Al?
Salve.
I've been using salve a lot. The
Roman greeting salve is more quote-unquote formal than the more informal greeting of ciao. Except if we with a best friend, like ciao Massimo, how you doing?
You sound like a cat. Ciao.
Yeah, ciao. I'm not a ciao guy. I'm more of a salve type of a guy. How about you?
I say salve, and it was the Catanese that taught me. You hear a lot of that. Salve.
So are you a ciao gal or a
I'm a
salve
if I don't know them. If I know them, I say ciao, because salve is a little bit more formal. Now, the most formal of them, if you see someone in the morning, let's say before around 3 o'clock, you say buongiorno. After 3 o'clock, you say buon pomeriggio or buonasera. Those are the greetings that you have at night. Now, when you're getting ready to say good night to someone, you say, at the end of the night, you say buonanotte.
I think that she is correct. I think,
shocking.
And see, the whole thing about etiquette is that if you just use the right things, if you're first-time visitor, second-time visitor, you'll be, I think, more accepted as opposed to just kind of like, showing up in a
Hey, how you doing?
Right. Hey, how you doing? Blah, 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 blah.
Now listen, some people get entertained by that. Don't get me wrong. When Sicilians hear that you're an American, they want to practice their English or, talk to you in English. But let me tell you about another greeting. So when you first meet someone, you shake their hands. Afterwards, once you get to know them a little bit, perhaps you become friendly and so forth, you do the kiss. And there is, let me tell you, a proper way of kissing. And here in Sicily, in Italy, you do 2 kisses, one on each cheek.
Which brings me to the biggest point, especially since October is Italian Cultural Heritage Month and there's all these Italian festivals going on in the United States, where I see these Italian guys, right? They're Italian, and then they go to kiss each other and they bump into each other. They both go to the right. They both go to the left. They smack their noses. Do you ever notice that? Let me tell you something. That's all I see. Unless you, cultured, so to speak, you don't know which way to go.
Teach them.
I want to teach you how to do it now, okay? Now, when 2 ships are on the sea, and they're heading towards one another, how do they avoid a collision? They both go to the right. That's all you have to remember. When you go to give your greeting, you go to the right.
They go to the right.
They go to the right. And you don't have to give them like a big smooch either on the cheek.
Let's demonstrate. You go like this.
Wait. Simply just touch their cheek.
Exactly. So you demonstrate. And you don't have to kiss either. You can go just...
No, you don't do that.
You either go...
That's it.
You just put the cheek, an air kiss. That's it.
That's it. So go to the right.
And no kissing on the lips. No. Except if you're boyfriend, girlfriend.
Right.
And that's okay to do on the streets too, by the way.
What's that?
Kissing on the streets.
I mean, if you see an old-time Sicilian guy that's like 70, my age, for example, over 70, right, and out of a sign of respect, say he's your uncle here for the first time you meet him, you may want to pick up his hand and kiss him on the hand and say, Savannah Diga, God be with you. That's like
they'll understand.
That's
that.
like a
the younger
traditional
generation,
Sicilian
not so much.
Sign of respect. I think that's a pretty good one.
All right, so let's move on to something that I hear a lot of you asking. This is one of the most asked about questions. Do I tip or I don't tip? All right, so we've been doing tours and so forth, and been here 10 years. Alfred has been here over 20 years. Here's my experience, okay? There is in your bill, when you go to a restaurant, there is already a coperto. If it's 5 people, it could be €1 a person, €2 a person, whatever the restaurant has. A coperto is sort of like it pays for the tablecloth, it pays for the waiters and the waitstaff and so forth, and that goes to them.
Pays for the bread. Pays for the bread and the tablecloth primarily.
However, in my experience, leaving a tip, and mind you, we've been frequenting a lot of these places multiple times, and even when I go to first time to a place, I do leave a tip. Not exaggerated like in the United States, 15, 20, but I leave a good tip. Let's say on a $50 bill, I'd leave between €5 and €10 for sure. They are very appreciative. Trust me, I've heard a lot of people say, oh, it's frowned upon, and they always say, no, no, no. In my experience, I've never had anyone refuse a tip here in Sicily, and also in Tuscany, and the same in Rome. Wherever you are, you may have a different experience. That's been my experience. Now, let me tell you also about tipping guides. Yes, tipping guides is a very nice and acceptable thing. Tipping drivers. In the hotel, tipping the wait staff. You know, these guys work very hard. They don't make as much money as in the United States of America, than just a fraction. And a lot of times what happens that you'll tip them and it goes into a community jar and distributed among the cooks, the staff, and so forth. So that's my opinion on tipping.
You know, a lot of these self-help things on Facebook or whatever say don't tip. That's crazy. You have to tip. These people work 6 days or 7 days a week.
7 days.
7 days a week. They don't get overtime like they do in the United States. The average waiter, just so you know, makes €1,200 a month, maybe €1,500 a month. Next time you go into a restaurant, most of them are men, because it's considered to be a profession here, and the man is the breadwinner, and there aren't enough jobs, so to speak, to go around. So for heaven's sakes, if you have $100 bill, leave $10-15 or
For
something
sure.
like that. Don't leave €1, or don't leave nothing because you read it on some stupid thing
And
on
you know what?
Facebook.
You go back, and they're very appreciative. They'll treat you well. So tipping is a thing. So
Especially if you're going to the same restaurant a couple times. Okay?
Exactly,
You'll
for
find
sure.
you'll get better service too if you leave a tip, as opposed to those two people over there who, you know, don't leave a tip and take the bread and wrap it up in paper and put it in their purse or pocket, which is even worse.
since we're on the subject of restaurants and dining, let's talk about another important question that people keep asking us about cappuccino. Is it okay to drink cappuccino after 11 or 12? Because in the past, you know, it would have been more frowned upon than now. Today, if you go into a bar, a restaurant, a pasticceria, and you ask for a cappuccino after 12, after 2, after dinner, it's not frowned upon. They don't care anymore. Get a cappuccino if that is what you want while coming here to Sicily and Italy. Now, let me tell you, if you want to be a little bit more all day long, you can be drinking an espresso or a cafe macchiato, which is what I have, which is an espresso shot with a little bit of milk foam on top. That gives me that little bit of a milky, foamy taste. Not as much milk as a cappuccino, and it satisfies my flavor. So that is my opinion about cappuccino.
Listen, first of all, you could have an espresso all day and all night. Many people do, okay? Especially Italians, you go in and out, zoop, see you later. 10
Even
seconds.
after dinner.
After dinner especially. But have a, you know, if you want to have something cool, not cool, but, you know, you need a little bit of a jolt, so to speak, have a cafe corretto. That's espresso with a shot of whiskey. And by whiskey, by definition, that means anything brown that they have. Typically, it's a bourbon. It could be a Jack Daniels, which seems to be really prevalent around here. Is
Really
Jack Daniels,
popular.
right?
Here's something else you will not see here in Sicily or Italy, and I think I haven't seen it in Italy, is some kind of a syrup like they do in Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts or all the other coffee places. There's no French vanilla, pumpkin latte, da-da-da-da-da. Here they just have coffee. Now, iced coffee. This is something that we've talked about before, because they don't serve you an iced coffee. And Alfred has a brilliant way to all the places that we go to now know how to make Alfred his coffee, iced coffee, and you tell them, how do they make it?
All right, listen to me, okay?
Listen
Because
to me.
people would pay thousands of dollars for this free info. But first of all, you got to get a cafe americano with two shots in it, a double cafe americano, okay, in a cup. Then you ask them for a bicchiere da pata of ice, a glass of ice apart.
Ghiaccio.
Ghiaccio, it's called. So they're going to bring you the cafe americano with two shots in it and a glass of ice. And then as he puts it down, you got to look at him, and then you got to point to the coffee, and you got to point to the ice.
Or you do it yourself.
Or you could do it yourself, but I have him do it, all right? And once he does it, then what happens is the ice goes down, and then I say to him, "Porto un altro bicchiere per favore." Bring me another glass of ice, please, and he does. And now all of a sudden I have an iced coffee, which in the hot weather, in the afternoon, is great. So that's what I
Especially
do.
in the summer.
In the summertime, you know what's also great?
What?
I got to tell you this right now.
Tell me.
This is unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
You see this hat?
I was just going to say something about it.
I want to think about my guy, Charles Daniel.
We've been
who
saying
sent
Charles so
me-
much.
But that's the name of, that's what his
That's
name,
his
right?
name.
All right. Who sent me this cap? I think it was last year.
Mm-hmm.
He's the guy that has
Wines from
winesofsicily.com.
No, winesofitaly.com.
Excuse me, winesofitaly.com.
And can we tell them about the promotion? If they spend more than $250, then the shipment will be free. Winesfromitaly.com. He's got great Etna wines, by the way.
Now, here's another thing of etiquette because of the hats. When do you wear a cappuccino like this? Do you wear it in July? Do you wear it in May? Here's the rule, and this is called the Alfred rule, by the way, because there isn't any rule. It only comes from observation. Don't wear a cappuccino before October 1st. That's number one.
Well, you can wear a summer couple boots on, no?
Now, if you're going to do something cool, like you see my white and black, gray striped Borsalino cap, it's like a seersucker cap in the summertime, that's okay. But afterwards, you can take all your stylish caps, and of course, this is a very stylish cap.
That's one of my favorite hats. Alfred has a lot of hats, and Charles Daniel, this is one of my favorites.
Then, as it gets into the bad weather, okay, that's where you break out the herringbone, the worsted hats. So it's depending upon what you got to do for hats, but you ought to wear a hat, in my view.
Speaking of wearing things, and I want to go back to the restaurant in just a second, wearing things. It's now October something, very first week of October. I'm in a sleeveless shirt. Alfred is wearing shorts, short-sleeved shirt, and it's like 75, 80 under the sun. Well, you will not find any Sicilians wearing shorts. Already, even though it's been a hot September and a hot few days in October, they'll wear pants. You won't see them wearing shorts. Now, if you're coming and visiting and you're touring around, please wear shorts. Wear whatever feels comfortable. Usually with our tours, we're out all day, so at night we'll go to dinner also with shorts, but you will not see Sicilians and Italians doing that so much.
I remember a few years ago, I had a group, this is BE, before Resta. We were in Ragusa, and we went to the Duomo over there.
Yeah.
And I had, there were two young girls in their 20s, and they walked into the Duomo with, what are those things called? Spaghetti tank tops on and shorts.
Their shoulders not covered.
And the priest there like took a nutty, made him go into a side room, and they have clothes,
Wait, don't you
shawl to put over.
Don't you remember my experience here? My
Yeah.
very first year, I went to church in Acitrezza. It was August. I didn't know. I had to go and buy all these new clothes because it was hot and I wasn't prepared for the heat, and all of them were without short sleeve or spaghetti strips. And I went into the church in Acitrezza. I'll never forget that. I was going to get my communion, and the priest bowed his head and he silently said, "You have to have your shoulders covered.
Yeah.
And I said, mi dispiace, I'm sorry. And this was, well, I didn't say mi dispiace because I was new. I think I said something like I'm American because I didn't speak a lick of Italian or Sicilian back then. But a lot of churches, by the way, do offer some shawls, but that's something to keep in mind. Have your shawls covered. To this day, it's an issue. But I do have to say that the more touristy places like the Duomos in Catania and Palermo and so forth, they don't really care.
That's
but
because
you
those
go
places,
to the smaller places, little La Citrezza, the village, they'll say something.
You know why? Yes, because those places are almost like a museum, the big Duomos.
Yeah.
Okay, so they use in some places, like I think in Siracusa, you have to even pay to get in.
Yeah.
In Monreale, you have to pay to get in.
Of
right?
course.
However, if you're going to Sunday Mass here, do me a favor.
Yeah,
don't-
absolutely.
And you're a female, I guess I could say that. This newest style of the ripped jeans.
Well, it's
Or
the
even
coming
men.
back.
Okay, let me just correct myself. Even men, don't wear ripped jeans.
Here they'll dress up. That's
right.
still a thing. You go to church and you dress up. You don't go like
A
you're
nice
in your
shirt for a man.
pajamas.
I mean, even a nice something like this is acceptable.
That's fine.
And if you're gonna wear jeans with a top like this, that's okay. But don't look like a kavuni. You know what a kavuni is?
That's a new word for
A
me.
kavuni? Kavuni means like a farmer. Someone like Jed Clampett from the Beverly Hillbillies. Okay, you don't want to look like that. And the other thing,
And you know what it is? It's just basic respect for others, right? The way you dress is a respect for someone else and also for yourself. But coming here in jeans and t-shirts every day, ripped t-shirt and so forth, that's dress nice.
let me ask you something, Esther. Okay.
Yeah.
Today I read a post online, and I was going to answer it, but I didn't. It's about some guy who lives here says, I haven't learned Italian that well. I just know basics.
Yeah.
Okay.
And will I be
But
okay?
He says, why don't the Italians speak English?
Better English. We've heard
Now
that
wait
before.
a minute. Let me
Terrible.
finish. He's saying, doesn't he realize that it's going to affect business and all this other baloney? Okay. Now wait a minute. Okay. Let me just give my answer to that. First of all, I think the shoe should be on the other foot. I think that you, if you're going to be living in a foreign country, ought to
Or visiting,
but especially if you're going to live here or spend extensive time here, you should try to adopt the customs here and not the other way around. What do you think America
when in
is?
Rome, do as the Romans
Yeah, but what do you
do.
think this is over here? Ancient Rome and you're the Roman? No, you're not the Roman. They're the Romans in that particular case. Should they learn English? Well, for business purposes, that's another discussion. But if you're in a small little town, and we go to a lot of small little towns with small little churches, small little restaurants,
Where
right?
they don't speak
English.
Don't speak English.
So, I mean, you don't, the mountain doesn't have to
it's
go to
just-
Muhammad here, the other way around.
Listen, it's just the basics too. There are a lot of basic little words that you can, they're all over YouTube. They're all over the place. We're just basic communication words. Now, if you're on a tour and you have, a guide and you have someone who's helping you, that's another story. But if you're alone, definitely learn a few words. Can I just go back to the restaurant thing for one more thing?
Be my guest.
And, bread. And bread.
Bread.
And the scarpetta.
Pane.
The scarpetta, the after dinner, dipping and cleaning your plate with the bread is an okay thing to do. Don't lick your plate. Take the bread and beautifully work your way around it. Clean the plate, because I'll tell you what, the chef will definitely appreciate when a clean plate comes back. That's another little thing that I forgot to say during the restaurant thing. But one more thing in terms of eating and how you eat a pizza. Usually you don't eat a pizza standing up and with your hand. Here they use a fork and knife to eat the pizza. Of course, a couple bites you can take with your hand, but there's a whole etiquette. We go out with our friends all the time with pizza. It's fork and knife, fork and knife.
When your dinner is finished, and whether you've cleaned it with the bread or not, I don't ever do that, but whether you do or not,
I've seen
and you want it, and you want the waiter to pick it up, simply get your knife and your fork and cross it like this and put it on the plate. That's the accepted sign for the waiter to pick your plate up.
And you'll notice that they're not rushing you out. They
No,
want you to
no,
relax. You're not in a hurry.
No.
Usually, sometimes your plate will just sit there for a while just to allow conversation. Here, when you go out to dinner, it's an event. It's a 2-hour event with a lot of talking and so forth. So that's what I wanted to say about that. I think with food and drinks, that's all I wanted to say.
You know, I have a cousin here this week, one of my favorite cousins, Alfred J., along with his partner, and Bob and Mary Lee, 4 wonderful, beautiful people. And he's got a nice little habit. He happens to like arancini, the rice balls, and it's almost like every day this week for lunch he's grabbed one. And now he's so sophisticated at it, he's actually been grading one arancini versus another in another town, right?
Yeah.
Which one does
Catania.
he? Catania
But I haven't
probably
talked to
has
him
the best.
today yet, since dinner last night.
Catania probably has the best arancini.
I think Tre Castagni has a really
And
good
Tre Castagni's got a very,
Everyone
very
has
good
a
one
different,
too.
but the point is what?
Here's the point. It's the point that every single solitary town, it's not like a Big Mac. Every single solitary town has their own peculiarities about making something that you may have a certain taste or preferred way to eat it. It's different.
So I was going to add, I thought you were going about whether you eat it in your hands or you eat it with a fork and knife. And let me tell you, you eat an arancini by hand. A lot of people have a fork and knife. And one more.
Well, yeah, what about
one more.
what Rosario Faraci says about eating them?
What?
You know, like arancini here is shaped
No,
like
not
a pyramid.
Rosario Faraci.
What was that?
Juicy said.
Juicy
said. We
She
did a
inverts
whole
them.
street food thing with our guy Juicy that has the history of arancini, by the way. If you're interested, I'll leave you a link. But she says the best thing when you have the arancini over here that's shaped like Mount Etna to eat it upside down because all the meat goes down to the bottom, so that's the best place. But anyway, the real way to eat it is you take the top off, eat it, and then you eat the rest. And by the way, that's how you do with a granita. In a brioche, you take the boob off, and you put the granita on top of it, eat it, and then you dip the rest. But you know what you do with here's what I suggest. You go to a cafe and so forth, and if you're not watching us or not believing us, go and observe an everyday Sicilian of how they eat a granita, a gelato, how they eat an arancini. That's how you learn, right?
You know, Esther, going back to the arancini just for 1 second, I have my own
How do you eat it?
arancini hall. I just stuff it in my mouth. It's gone in 4 bites, but I wasn't going to talk about that. I do have a Hall of Fame ranking. I'll never forget 10 years ago when the Cornelio family from New York City came here on a family visit. There was Christine, there was Frank, the mother and father, and the 2 kids, right? One of them, though, his name was Angelo, okay, who just graduated from college, but I never saw a kid, make love to eating an arancini like that kid did. And he was able to pick out all the flavor notes. Do you remember him?
He was very good. Do
Oh,
I remember him? Of course I remember him.
That kid got into my heart that week because that kid enjoyed everything.
Remember their last
Sicilian.
night, they had tears, and we had to have him his last arancini, and tears.
Yeah.
Here's a
Yeah.
teenage boy
Never
sitting
forget
here
that.
on our deck.
So that's a
so
story about my
arancini.
Hall of Fame. He's at the top of my list, Angelo Cornelio, without a doubt. And Angelo, I'd love to see you again. Come back. Your old man's got a lot of money, so let him come back here.
They were just
That's
here.
my opinion.
They were just here this year.
They were?
We couldn't see him.
Oh,
We're
sorry I
on the
missed
West
the
Coast.
Ange. So go ahead.
I have one more tip. We could sit here and do a bunch. So let's wrap up. I do have one tip that's very important, and a lot of our travelers, I have to tell this to. When you go to a fruit and vegetable stand, like a little mom and pop that we go to all the time, they really frown on you touching the fruits and vegetables. And actually, there's a law in some places, I believe, that you can't touch the fruits and vegetables. They have to come. So they'll come to you, and you sort of point, and you say, I want 2 of these, or kilo of these, or half a kilo, or 200 grams, or however much, and then they'll put it for you. But that's different than when you go to a supermarket. When you go to the supermarket, you grab the fruit, the vegetable, you put it on the scale, You put the little number and get the ticket, and that's how you do it.
Well, at the
in event.
supermarket, you have to
That's
put
a good-
a plastic hand. They have a hand.
You don't
thing.
have to, but it's
Yeah,
encouraged.
because if you don't, you're uncouth. You're uncivilized. Do you do that?
I don't put it.
I never. I always. Sometimes if I don't even have a plastic thing, I get my shirt and I go like this. But
What?
No, I'm only kidding. Listen, there's one thing I do wanted to say.
Yeah.
All right, some of these small food vendors, the bandits. All right. So you say I want 5 whatevers. Okay. Look at the ones that he puts in your bag, because 4 of them could be terrific, and one of them could be bruised. He wants to get rid of it, and that's the first one he puts in. So look at the first couple when he puts them in the bag, and make sure he doesn't have his thumb on.
Well,
the
I'm going to
scale.
give my opinion, which is vastly opposite to Alfred's opinion, because I've been going to the same fruit and vegetable vendors, and they take good care of me. They'll feel the tomato, they'll feel the peach and say, no, that's not good. They'll touch other ones and make sure that they give me the top ones. They weigh it, get the price, and they put 2 more into it. So that's not been my experience, but if you go to someone you don't know, especially in the inner cities, just keep an eye on what the guy is giving you. You do the same thing in the United States of America. One more tip: when you're getting a fruit in a container, strawberry or blue or something, flip it. Look at the bottom, because that's how you know.
Yeah, lift it up. Make sure there's no mold.
That's
there.
how you know that there's moldy. So it's like with everywhere. There's good guys, there's bad guys. In my experience, we've been very fortunate that all our fruit and vegetable vendors are very fair and they take care of us.
Last tip.
Okay.
All right. Again, I had some people send me emails, and they asked me, and this is a very good question. No one's ever asked me this before. When you go to a hotel, okay, are there washcloths for you? Some lady
Washcloth?
the small little face cloths.
Yeah, some people have it, some people don't.
Yeah, some people. The ones typically though in the hotels are not like the ones that we have in the United States. So if a washcloth is your go-to thing for your own personal hygiene, bring a couple. You could always discard them. Even Amazon sells. Did you know this? Disposable washcloths. Did you know that?
No. Thank you for that.
Something I looked at. All right,
I
so
think that's about it. We
Well, wait a minute.
covered
We have a
a lot
couple
of
more
that.
things
Wait, I
before
do
we
want to
go.
say that we've done past tips and things, but these are more updated tips and do's and don'ts, and we'll definitely be doing many more. Let me tell you what's on tap. Coming up, we have Ottobrata, because it's October, so every Sunday in October we have a beautiful festival, one of the largest gastronomical festivals in Italy, and I'm going to be going with your cousin.
Where?
To the Ottobrata.
Where is it?
In Zaffarana Etnea.
Okay.
What do you mean?
All right. I just wanted to know where it was.
Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for supporting us. Oh, I had someone stop me in Ortigia and say, oh my God, are you Esther? And I want to say thank you to you, because I appreciate people stopping and saying hello and telling us that they watch our videos. We really, really appreciate it. We come to you every Sunday, and sometimes more, because we really believe in Sicily. We really believe in getting this information to you. All the information that we gave you today hopefully will help you in your journey here in Sicily.
I'm going to give a shout out to Mr. Coppola. This fella and his wife came at the beginning of the season. Nicest guy. Him and I bonded, okay? And, he smokes cigars, I smoke cigars. And he's the guy that gave me this Bunsen burner he actually gave me 2 of these, right, for my cigars, which every day that when I light my cigarettes, I think of Mr. Coppola. So anyways, yesterday, she comes into the bedroom. I'm laying down minding my own business.
Who are you talking about? Phil Grasso.
Grasso, excuse me, not Coppola. Grasso. My apologies. And she says, guess what? The Grassos are coming back, right? Mm-hmm. And they want to have dinner with us, or we're going to meet them for dinner or something. So I want to give a shout out to Mr. Grasso. I use that later,
every day?
Every single day, and it's really appreciated, right?
We love getting gifts.
For her, a few people are coming to Sicily, and you want to bring one thing as a souvenir from the United States of America: Altoids. Cinnamon Altoids.
Or gum.
No.
Trident cinnamon gum.
Let me tell you something. I brought her 6 Altoids just a couple of weeks ago. Gone. And so am mine. Love you.
Arrivederci. Ciao.
Ciao.